Greetings, fellow Ambazonians, fellow people of the former British Southern Cameroons. I go by the name Capo Daniel, as you know me very well. I come today to address you not just as the president of an organization or the leader of a group, but as the person who represents the best interests of our general public and the interests of all the Ambazonian soldiers in Ground Zero. Over the past 5 years, I have led all the various policies that are responsible to sustaining our resistance and preventing the international community to perceive our struggle as an extremist struggle that is not compatible with international law. I have fought very hard to help transition our liberation struggle from a liberation struggle that outrightly banned education to a liberation struggle that have adopted best practices that have secured education for our people through the adoption of the Ambazonian community school system. This system have led to the approval of all private schools and mission schools in Ambazonia that seeks to operate within our territories while respecting guidelines which we have developed to preserve our territorial integrity and the assertion of our sovereignty of our territory by our people. I have spoke for you, I have defended viciously the integrity of our liberation struggle from the butchers of our students in Kumba, the butchers of our students in Ekondo Titi, and the slaughter of our people through the instigation of communal violence in Manu. I've defended the integrity of Ambazonian forces who were almost overrun by our population through political engineering by the regime in Yaoundé, in Mbabanki, in Oko, in Lebialem, in Bechati, and in all areas in our territory where we have seen this phenomenon, including in Bamendankwe. I have been the vanguard that have stood against the enemy and its manipulation of our people. Even more importantly, I have been at the forefront to hold Cameroon accountable for its war crime that it commits with impunity in enclave villages across our territory, making sure that we highlight these atrocities and hold Cameroon to account, whether be it the massacre in Garbu, the targeted killing of Pastor in Munya, Bebe Mata, the list go on and on. I have made sure I hold the Cameroon responsible for its actions, be it the killing of students in the University of Buea recently, and many other cases that you are very much aware of. I've been at the forefront to push our case to the international community and hold Cameroon to account to its atrocious acts that it commits with impunity throughout the enclave areas of our territory and even in urban areas. I have prevented the Cameroon's use of intimidation to frighten its victim in Ambazonia to silence, organizing mass protests across our territory against the regime to hold them to account for their mass arrest of our people and the use of intimidation and extortion in Ekona, in Bamenda, in Wum, and many other places where I have mobilized our civil society and our population to stand up against the subjugation tactics of the oppressive regime in Yaoundé. Over these past 7 years, I have learned my personality and efforts to all the various organizations within our liberation struggle that are based in the diaspora. That has credited some of them with credibility and given them a second chance with the public opinion of our people. I've helped build forces on Ground Zero, recruit soldiers, educate our soldiers on best practices that protects the human rights of our people. I've prevented infighting, Ambazonian soldiers going against each other. I've stopped policies of organizations that are meant to eliminate other forces in Ground Zero who do not align with their various organizations to represent them diplomatically. I have secured for our people policies that have allowed our children to go back to school. I have made it impossible for Cameroon to use our own population to overpower our forces. have given hope to our people that we are accountable and we are responsible for the conduct of our forces and prevented this struggle to slip into a gang-style violence, which we have seen in countries like Haiti, when soldiers with guns prey on their own citizens for kidnapping, for ransom, and other excesses that could have easily plagued our struggle as a result of partisan group politics. Our people should make no mistake. No organization has employed any Ambazonian to represent them or act in them in any position. We have volunteered our service to the various organizations, and our people rose up, not because any organization called them to rise up, but because they themselves, they know that the current status quo and the treatment we have had with La République du Cameroon is not acceptable, and they cannot continue to live in this state of subjugation for any period of their time. The trust our people and our soldiers have given to the leaders in the diaspora to represent their best interests to secure a political victory against La République du Cameroon have been betrayed by personal political agenda. We have seen groups of individuals and organizations that have sought to blackmail other leaders, and even the international community and the Canadians who have demonstrated goodwill to help facilitate negotiation of pre-talks between our representative and the representative of Cameroon government. These people responsible for this blackmail and attempted assassination, instigation and threat of assassination of family members of other leaders have put our entire struggle in jeopardy and led to the complete elimination of any support of Ambazonian outright independence by the international community. Our liberation struggle and our nation can never be led by people who blackmail political opponents and threaten family members of leading figures with assassination with the hope that they will secure for themselves political dominance within our liberation struggle. That will never happen. Fellow Ambazonians, I am providing political leadership as I have been providing leadership in policies within our liberation struggle for our entire nation to the international community and to our people. The influence of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba have given Paul Biya on a platter of gold an excuse that he needed to escape the possibility of international scrutiny and accountability to Cameroon's continuous subjugation of our people and undermining the fundamental rights of the Ambazonian people to choose for themselves the future of their territory through credible negotiation efforts that could have led to a fair and acceptable outcome of a political solution to resolve the so-called Anglophone crisis, which is a contest of sovereignty over our territory. Fellow Ambazonians, we cannot allow our liberation struggle in the hands of individuals who pursue the illusion of a military victory over the Republic of Cameroon, or any illusion that we can force La République du Cameroon or force the international community by holding our own people hostage to force La République du Cameroon out of our territory. We must use responsibly the volunteers on ground zero who have picked up arms, knowing fully well that military victory and liberation by military might is not attainable with the little weapons we have and the little support we have from our people, void of any international support, which we believe is not attainable at this moment. Liberation can only come by diplomatic engagement and political maneuver that appeals both to the moderates within La République du Cameroon and the international community interests in preserving the human dignity and human rights of our people. Those who seek military liberation are not just delusional, but are leading our people into a total lust by the logic of war, and we must desist from risking our entire population and all the sacrifices we have made so far to be wasted by individuals who have put themselves above our nation, who have put their personal ambition above the livelihood and the public interest of our entire nation. Due to bad faith conduct that have jeopardized the Canada talks, such possibility of Ambazonian outright victory over La République du Cameroon is now no longer even entertained, but have been outrightly dismissed by the international community. The dirty politics of Dr. Cho Ayaba, of character assassination, and the use of death threat to innocent family members of leaders will not work. No individual who mask themselves as organizations or communal organizations has any solid command and control over our forces, let alone our general public. The command and control of Ambazonian forces and the influence over our general public who are resisting Cameroon on the battlefield and in ground zero is not a matter of being appointed the head of a group of people. It is a matter of credibility and influence over public opinion and over the conduct of our forces and the influence of policies that can protect and sustain this liberation struggle. I'm currently the leading figure that has the biggest influence over our population at large and our soldiers on the battlefield at large for the most part. I have spoken on behalf of our soldiers and the civilians of Ambazonia in good and bad times. I have taken responsibility and not shy behind my keyboard during good and bad times in the past, and I will not do so in the future. I have defended the credibility and morality of our soldiers on ground zero. I have defended the integrity of our struggle and prevented this struggle from being tagged an extremist struggle or from being abandoned by our people who have been disoriented by partisan politics within our movement. I have prevented excesses and the acceptable conduct of irresponsible policies that could have ended this liberation war. Leaders in the diaspora who have become rubber stamp to soldiers on the ground cannot provide political leadership or accountable conduct over those same soldiers. To lead a people to a successful outcome will require more than just somebody who collect money and pass them down to soldiers according to those who pay absolute loyalty to them, while blackmailing other political leadership, hoping that somehow they will secure the vast majority or endorsement of Ambazonian forces in order for them to attain their personal ambition that have been placed above that of our national interests. Leaders who engineer hate speech against other Ambazonian leaders, leaders who transform those who faithfully follow them into instruments of intimidation of adverse political views, have isolated a vast majority of our population. Today, the vast majority of our population do not know where they stand. They are confused and cannot differentiate between right and wrong or any good path because of this pollution on our social media space. This has to come to an end. Ambazonian will not be liberated by beautiful speeches and the coercion of political support and endorsement from forces from ground zero alone. Leadership must not only lead soldiers or pretend to lead soldiers, but must lead our entire territory, our civilian population, back home. I've mobilized the biggest network of Ambazonian civil society on ground zero and our communities in ground zero to stand up for their rights and to defend their right to self-determination. And I will continue to mobilize them and mobilize our forces, motivate our forces, inspire our forces to adopt best practices that safeguards their interests and protect human rights of our civilian population. Fellow Ambazonians, we must moderate. The posture in La République du Cameroon have significantly changed. We can no longer afford to ignore certain change in posture in Yaoundé. The Cameroon government, since the beginning of this struggle, have come from outrightly outlawing our nationalism and the advocacy for the right of self-determination of our people by banning the consortium and declaring those who represent the aspiration of our people as criminals and terrorists. The Cameroon government have now tacitly, through its promulgation of the special status, acknowledged but failed to resolve with Ambazonia the question of our sovereignty. But at least their acknowledgement should not be dismissed anymore, and neither should it be accepted, but it must at this time, as a sign of moderation, be at least cited or recognized as a change of posture. We are obligated to do so at this moment to send the right signal to the international community and to the regime in Yaoundé and those who seek to advance a resolution of this conflict through the negotiation table. This measure do not go far enough and are not even significant for us to consider them in any meaningful manner. For the past 7 years, or any support for Ambazonian independence, and the only way we can make meaningful progress in our international engagement is no longer to dismiss the change of posture in Yaoundé, but to demonstrate good faith to negotiate the root causes of this struggle. But in good faith, I am recognizing the change in posture of Yaoundé while telling them that these administrative changes that are within the discretion of the head of state of La République du Cameroon have not gone far enough to even secure for our people the level of autonomy that we used to have during the federal system that we had with La République du Cameroon. The only solution to this conflict or war between the people of the territory of the former British Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia, and the people of La République du Cameroon is for us to both abandon the path to military victory and pursue meaningful negotiations and dialogue within the framework of the international system and move this senseless war away from the battlefield and in the battlefield of negotiation and spare our people the death, chaos, and slaughter of our fellow African brothers. Fellow Ambazonians, we must seek only political victory through negotiation with La République du Cameroon, not military victory for political negotiation. The partisan nature of our liberation struggle have taken away the killing instinct of our soldiers and volunteers, who are many in their numbers. We cannot successfully obtain military victory against La République du Cameroon if we are unable to eliminate those who Cameroon have used to legitimize its presence in our territory, like Regina Munde, the Fon of Bambalang, the head of the DDR center that was arrested in Bamenda, and many other people that we arrested them and let them go. Even if we were to obtain our military objective, to kill as many Cameroon military soldiers as we can and burn down the entire CDC, given the nature of the support of the struggles of the black man by the international community, they will still continue to sustain the Republic of Cameroon as a result of their good relationships with France, which have continually supported the subjugation and undermining of democracy in Africa. We must look for a way forward that sends the right signal to La République du Cameroon and to the international community. We must seek for common interests with other political associations and those that have common interests for the respect of human rights even within La République du Cameroon. Our fight for independence and our fight for a separate homeland must not be void of tolerance and political debate, But we must demonstrate good faith to the international community and show La République du Cameroon people that we are both willing to negotiate and are willing to make the necessary compromises that will entail for us to secure a political solution for this war. Fellow Ambazonians, these blackmailers and murderers within our struggle will continue with a small group of people to use intimidation tactics to make sure our people do not have the chance to debate and to face the reality of our situation and get the most we can obtain from this liberation struggle by constantly saturating social media space with hate speech and intimidation that have isolated a huge segment of our population. They will not stop their character assassination, blackmail, and even attempted assassination on ground zero. But this should not deter us from securing the most we can out of this struggle. Our people bear the brunt of this war. It is our people who are being slaughtered. It is our economy that suffers. And all the promises of preventive diplomacy, the fight against genocide, have been abandoned when it comes to Ambazonia by the international community. We must recognize this reality and send the right signal both to the international community and our people that can secure victory. Our soldiers must be vicious, must resist the enemy, and fight until we have a fair and satisfiable or acceptable solution to our crisis. Bravados will only increase the excesses on our land and hate speech that will alienate the vast majority of our population. The president of La République du Cameroon, Paul Biya, and his clique of Bulu Beti mercenaries, they desire military confrontation and seek military victory over Ambazonia. Do not give in to them by pursuing a path of hate speech that alienates even our own political elites that sometimes we do not agree with them. We must seek common grounds with adversary and those who do not believe in our vision of our country. We must seek common grounds to those who wish to be neutral and do not wish to take sides even during this period of war. We must be smart, we must be responsible with the life of our soldiers and our people who are bearing the brunt of this war. I appeal to all Ambazonians, all Ambazonian soldiers, to listen to me, to follow my leadership as I seek to build a coalition and cohesion amongst the various groups within our liberation struggle. The time for partisan politics is over. The time for responsible leadership and accountable leadership that puts our best interests ahead of political ambition and group ambition. This time have come. Rally with me. Defend Ambazonia with me. Resist La République du Cameroon subjugation rule over our people. Fight against their forces that seeks to oppress our people and subjugate them under absolute Cameroon tyranny. You do not need to carry hate speech and extreme ideas for you to resist. Resist with a sound mind, a logical mind, so that together we will defeat La République du Cameroon. Adopt a pure guerrilla formation that is sustainable. Protect the right of our civilians and end excesses. Stop political gambling and manipulation of political leaders in the diaspora. And for those Ambazonians in the diaspora who have given up on this struggle, and those in Ground Zero and in Yaoundé who have given up on this struggle, come back home. We will fight together and we will win together. Do not listen to people who pretend to offer an Ambazonia better than La République du Cameroon, but engage in blackmail, character assassination, and the assassination of soldiers on Ground Zero, and the compromises of the security of soldiers in Ground Zero who do not align with them politically. This struggle is about you. It's not about us. We are only your servants. uphold the pillars of our resistance, the Monday goes down, not out of fear of Ambazonian soldiers, but for love for your own freedom. If you refuse the status quo, if you refuse the tyranny of subjugation from our French counterpart, resist. Fight for your freedom. Your freedom is in your hand, and you have proper political leadership that is engaged in responsible diplomatic effort to secure the best possible outcome for our people. I will continue to engage with our general public to educate them on the international expectation of our people and the chances we have to secure the most we can out of this struggle. We are the never again generation. We are the answered prayers of our people who for years have been stripped bare of all human resources that they could use to better their livelihood, and been stripped of their dignity, their identity, and their sense of hope, even in any democratic system. We must resist. We must fight until we can secure for our people the right of self-determination that they are due by international law. We must do so, and we can only do so with settled mind and mind that puts our national interests, our public interests, ahead of political partisanship. God bless you all.